Delayed, okay. Okay, so we're going to start. Thank you, everyone who has joined us online and in person. We have here, I'm going to do a very brief scan of some folks who are with us here in person, and we'll do some intros. Sorry for the late start, everyone. I didn't really account for people arriving and getting set up all at the same time as people are joining us online. One technical note is that those of you watching online will find that there's probably a 30-second or so delay between what we're saying and when you hear it. So if you're interacting in the chat and that's confusing, that's what's going on. But we're gonna cover some ways to deal with that, so I don't think that's really going to be a problem. Before we really get started with the introduction, I'd like to introduce you to a tool called etherpad, which if you've been following the emails, you may have already opened, or you may have you may have familiarity with from before. But if you haven't opened it yet, please do click on the link on our event page for the etherpad page. And I want to give you just a brief introduction to how this tool works, because this is going to be kind of our main glue for working together throughout the day. So I am just going to share my screen for a moment here. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, and
Bob says hi from London.
Hi, Bob. And we are going to do some introductions in just a moment. I just want to make sure that we all kind of have access to this this tool before we get to that. So, okay, so when you go to the etherpad link, you should see a screen that looks something like this. Is that showing up in the video now? I think by putting it on the screen, it should be showing up. Okay, it's through our delay. Okay, so this is a page that as soon as you're looking at it, it's very much like a wiki or like Wikipedia, except it's more live. And if you've ever used Google Docs, it's kind of similar to that as well. This is a page that you can just type in. You don't even have to log in or anything. And so to get started, I'd like to encourage everyone to just scroll down a little bit, open this in your own browser, and scroll down a little bit to where you see people who are here. And you know what, I'm not seeing some updates that I made. Just want to make sure. Aha, so okay. So it's OER Barn that's all caps, and I thought that I had made it so that one redirected to the other, but if you're not seeing the exact same screen as me, make sure that you have all caps OER Barn in the address bar. And then when you scroll down, you'll see this section, people who are here. So that's whether you're here online or in person. Please add your name to the list below, and you can just click your cursor at the end of the list and hit enter and type your name right there. There is one thing I want to point out, the top line. We're asking that if, as you use this document, that you explicitly agree that you're not going to claim copyright over the contents that you're putting on this page, and that's so that we can copy it onto Wikipedia later and know that we're not causing any trouble by that. So hopefully that's just a little technicality, but if you could put the letters CC0 at the end of your name, that will indicate that you read that and are on board with that. So so why don't you add your name now if you haven't already. I see that some people have already been getting their names and some info in there. There's some people have put email addresses. That's not necessary. This page is it's visible to anyone on the internet. It's not widely advertised, but it is visible to anyone on the internet. So if you're concerned about getting spam or something, you might not want to keep your email address in here. We do have your email address from when you signed up. So with that out of the way, let me get back and do some brief introductions. I'll start with myself. My name is Pete Forsyth, and I have been a Wikipedia editor since 2006. Which basically means that I've since then I've worked on Wikipedia articles that have been of interest to me. I started off, I lived in the state of Oregon in the US, in the northwestern US, and I had moved there for college. I didn't know a whole lot about the state's history, so my initial interest in Wikipedia was was basically exploring aspects of Oregon history and culture and working on those articles as I was learning and finding interesting references and using those to improve Wikipedia articles. And I found other people that were kind of doing similar things, so it got me really excited about Wikipedia as a platform for shared learning and community building. We have a few other folks in the room here with us today. I think it's a small enough group that maybe we can just invite people to come up and stand up here for a second. If Eugene, do you mind saying hello? He's giving me a skeptical look. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it'd be nice to have some. And then anyone who's online, in the chat window of the etherpad, which is in the lower right, please add a sentence or two about yourself. And Dana, who you'll meet in a second, will be able to introduce you in your place. So.
Hey everyone, I'm Eugene, longtime friend of Wikipedia, longtime member of the Wiki community in general.
Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Rosa. I'm a freelance journalist, and I've once helped out with the Media Makes Video project before.
Hey everybody, Mike Linkster. What Eugene said. Wikipedia and Wiki, yay.
Hey everyone, this is Dana Reynolds. I'm with Groupaya, and I'm here today to help Pete out with this event, making sure that the online collaboration goes smoothly. And I see we have a couple people in the etherpad doc. Just wanted to say hi to Bob from London. We have Glenn in Canada, and Cable just joined from Washington. So hello.
All right. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming, and let's dive into what we're here for. So this event, just to recap, this is a part of an effort that several of us have been working on for a couple of years. So Bob, who is joining us from London, and I were the ones originally in this project. And some of you know Sarah Frank Bristow from the course that we've run together, who unfortunately isn't able to join us today. But the three of us have been running this project for a couple of years, in which we're trying to improve Wikipedia's coverage of open educational resources and related topics. And we're trying to do that by bringing in the community of people who care about open educational resources and helping them learn to and develop a practice of updating Wikipedia articles. So this event is actually the final public event that we're doing for the project. We've had a 6-week online course that we've run a few times, and we have some people joining us who've taken the course in the past. Thank you very much. Good to see you, Glenn. And that course is something that will be available as a self-paced resource going forward. So the assumption of this event today is that hopefully if you're here you have some experience editing Wikipedia or editing wikis, that it's not a brand new concept for you. If you don't, that's fine. We're very happy to have you here. But our goal today is really to take a look at some OER articles and make some noticeable progress on them. So we're trying to kind of wrap up some of the projects that have been in the background for a while during the project. And actually, for that purpose, Dana has created a, let's see, I think this is going to show up on the screen. We have a state of the barn illustration, which is we're going to be checking back in on several times throughout the event as we're working on articles and tracking our progress doing some article improvements. So I'd like to give you a brief introduction for those of you who don't know a lot about Wikipedia, which will hopefully be a useful review or at least get you started. It might not be as thorough as some of the introductory materials that are online that hopefully you've been able to take a look at if you're just starting out, or if you're really just brand new to Wikipedia. We have enough experienced folks here in the room and online that will be able to help you through and pair up more experienced and less experienced Wikipedians. I also want to give a brief introduction to open educational resources because some people are here with experience with Wikipedia, but they don't really know much about open educational resources. So that should take us to the end of the hour, and then we'll have some time in there for questions and answers as well. And then after that, we're going to form small groups, and really any size that makes sense. We'll have people in person and online. My recommendation would be anywhere from like 2 people to 4 or 5 people that want to pick an article and work on it. And it doesn't have to be for the whole day. It might be that you want to take an article and work on it for half an hour and get it to a certain point, and then look for another project to work on. So we're as soon as we're done with the presentation, we're going to break for lunch and form those groups, and then after that we'll get started and we'll have a few hours to work on that. So I'm going to go, oh, I guess I've been on, have I been on screen share this whole time? I've been on screen share this whole time. So, yeah, okay. So sorry about that for anyone who was eager to see the barn. You're going to get to soon enough. So I'm going to bring us to the Wikipedia front page, which I'm sure that you've all seen many times. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just explore a couple of Wikipedia articles here. If anyone has an article that that they have in mind that they want to take a look at, feel free to put it in the chat window, and Dana can relay that to me. But what I'm going to do to start out with is I'm going to just pull up something I haven't seen before. I'm going to go to the first article on the in the news section, and I'm just going to show you some of the elements of a Wikipedia article that maybe you've seen before, but maybe you haven't. Maybe you don't know what they're there for or how they fit together. So this article has something at the top, which is a banner. And you've probably seen things that look like this on some articles. They're generally meant as sort of a bit of information to the reader about the article. In this case, it tells you that it's a current event and tells you that the article may be rapidly changing. So if you look at it now and then you look at it in 10 minutes, there might be new information there, or something might have been deleted, just so that you kind of know to expect that. A bar like this also might tell you that the article doesn't have enough references, or that it's not written from a neutral point of view. So these things will be in reference to the policies and editing guidelines of Wikipedia. So you'll find that there are lots of things all over Wikipedia that suggest that something needs to be brought a little bit more into alignment. You'll find that there are lots and lots of rules and best practices around Wikipedia, but there are also lots of things that aren't yet kind of in compliance with them. So there's this ongoing project of kind of making things better and figuring out how to deal with challenging topics. So that's mostly what those banners are about. In the upper right of many articles, you'll see what's known as an info box. So it'll typically have a photo and then some sort of almanac type information, like a date, or just detailed information about the topic of that article. This isn't required for any article, but it's one of those things that it can be very useful to a reader. So it can be a little bit technical to develop something like this. So I probably wouldn't recommend this for someone who's brand new to Wikipedia. But if we have people who from our course or something like that who want to take this on for an article that doesn't yet have an info box, that could be something that we could work on adding today. And below that, you'll see most articles will have a table of contents. This is generally generated automatically if there are enough section headings below. And the structure of an article is another thing that we really that we might really want to take a close look at. Sometimes you'll have an article that's gotten rather long and doesn't have any sections in it, so it's a little bit difficult for a reader to absorb. So sometimes just taking an existing article and breaking it up into some sensible sections is an easy way to improve it. Or maybe the sections that are there aren't really the right ones. Maybe they sort of grew up and evolved over time, but they don't really capture what's in the article as well as they could. So restructuring the sections of an article is another thing that we might want to take a look at. And then finally, I'm going to just jump way down to the bottom of the article, to the references section. And this one, you can see there are just a ton of references on this article, which I think is going to typically be true of a big recent news event, because what's happening is that lots and lots of people around the world are very very rapidly absorbing new information. They're reading something in the news and they're thinking, oh, I want to make sure that that's in the Wikipedia article. So adding it to the article and adding a reference. So this article has 158 references. So this article, you wouldn't look at this article and think, oh, there's not enough references. I really need to make sure that this is well cited. But with many of the articles in the OER area, we might find that there are entire paragraphs that don't reference a good source. So finding something that talks about that in an existing published source and citing it in the Wikipedia article is one of the things that we'd love to work on today. So, Dana, is there anything coming up in the chat that I should be aware of? Any questions in the room? Feel free as we go along, by the way, to bring up questions in the chat, and also if you have bigger questions that you want to be sure I come back to, you can put them in the questions section on the etherpad. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to just pause and let people type stuff up. Okay.
It just asked you a question.
Oh, okay. So the people seeing the video, I think, are just hearing that I asked for questions. So I think I'm going to continue. Okay, so I just typed OER into the search bar of Wikipedia, and this shows you something that you also may have seen before. It's called a disambiguation page. You'll see this bar at the bottom that tells you what this kind of page is about. So this isn't actually a Wikipedia article. This is a page that's helping you find your Wikipedia article. So lots of people might type in an abbreviation like OER and mean very different things by it. So in our case, what I meant was Open Educational Resources. So I would just go and click on here. But if I didn't find it in here, then I might want to edit this page to make sure that Open Educational Resources is part of that list of OER. So you might come up with a place where the organization of Wikipedia doesn't really make sense, and that's another kind of thing that we would really love to take care of today. If there are maybe two articles that have similar titles that are pretty much about the same thing, it might be worthwhile to think about merging those into one article. There are lots of sort of structural things, and if you have ideas around that, an event like today's is a really good one to sort that stuff out. Just bring it up in the chat. We can talk about good ways to address it and help people figure out the technical things that they might need to know to do that. So disambiguation and redirects are another thing. If there's a title that you might type in that isn't taking you to where you expect it to, just bring it up and we'll talk it over. So I'm going to click into the article on Open Educational Resources. This is our core topic for the grant project that I mentioned before and that this event is a part of. Open Educational Resources, if you haven't encountered the concept, is essentially it's sort of the idea of open source software as applied to education. So it's the idea that that individual teachers, instructors, authors of textbooks, people in the education realm might, instead of being very protective of their copyright, might release things in a way that encourages other people to adapt them to different audiences, translate them, improve them, and republish them without having to worry that they're going to get in trouble for doing it. So there are various different aspects to that. It really runs the gamut between formal education. You've probably heard of something called Khan Academy, which is YouTube videos that are very high quality YouTube videos that are available for kids to use as they're learning in school. But then you also might consider something like Wikipedia an open educational resource that's much more free-form. It's sort of growing and evolving all the time, never with the central idea that it would support a formal course, but it is an educational resource of its own kind. So this one article is really the one that we've been the most concerned with over the course of the grant. I think it's really improved a lot through the work of our students and the various people that we've worked with. And here's something I didn't show you on the last screen, but if you want to get a sense of that, of how this article has grown over time, the thing you would do is click this View History tab, and that will show you a line for every single change that anyone has ever made to the article. So this can be a lot of information to absorb all at once. If you haven't seen it before, I think most of the people here probably have at least seen this before. But one of the things you can do is choose 2 different revisions and click the compare button, and you can get a side-by-side view of what was changed between those 2 different times. And another thing you can do is just basically go back in time. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom here, and the oldest edit I see, well, this is 2013, so I'm going to change so that we're looking at 100 revisions instead of 50, and scroll to the bottom again. And now we're getting back to May so over a year ago. And I'm going to just click on that date, and this is going to show us what the Wikipedia article looked like at that time. So let's just look at the table of contents here. I see there are 11 different sections and a couple of subsections under 8. And I'll go back. I'm going to click on the article tab here, and that's going to take me back to the most recent version. And, well, that wasn't such a great example because it looks very similar. There was a subsection here that's now been removed, but otherwise the structure has been stable. So that might be a good sign that we've gotten to a point that's relatively uncontroversial. Doesn't mean that there's nothing to be improved, but that people are generally pretty happy with how the article looks. So on our event page, I'm gonna pull us back to the page for this event. And you can always get here by just typing WP:/OER Barn into the search tab. That's going to be a redirect or a shortcut to our page for this event. And I'm going to scroll down to some articles we may work on. So here, this is a list of some of the articles that we'd most like to get some things done with today. Whether that's adding references, adding an image, adding some text to link a couple of ideas, things like that. And then if we go back into our etherpad page, let's see, I'm lost in tabs now. So we have also these ideas are, oh, let's see, I'm on the wrong, I see what I'm doing. There we go. If you scroll down on the etherpad page, you will find that these concepts are also listed here and with some more detail. So here, I'm gonna make this a little bit easier to look at now. Since we're just getting started, I'm gonna take out the color coding for this section of the document, which means that we can't see who did what, but since this was mostly Mike's work anyway, we're not really losing any major information there. And so here we have some more like fleshed out ideas of what we can do with the articles. So for example, if we go down to Open Educational Resources, the main article, Mike has listed several different specific things that we might want to do to improve this article. So as we move into the collaborative portion of this event, we really encourage you to take these sections, to have to form a group around one of these articles and make it your own. So you might go into this and reorder them and say, maybe adding external links is going to be the most important thing. That's what you're going to focus on first. Maybe you'd move it up to the top, and you know, discuss within your group, you know, what you want to work on and who's going to work on what. You can delete things out of here. These are not. This is not a rigid list of ideas. These are meant just to kind of get us started off. So with that, I think I would like to pause again and see what kinds of questions have come up. I know I've covered a lot of stuff here, so please don't be shy about asking me to connect those things up or give a little more context. Let me just do a time check here. Oh, we're only at past. Okay, I'm going through this a little more quickly than I thought. Okay. So good to see you, Jade. Jade's another former student from actually a couple of, maybe, was it 3 rounds of our course, I think? At least 2. Okay, so we have another etherpad document specifically for the outline of open education. So this is something, so setting up an etherpad is very easy to do. And if you find that working in this big etherpad is confusing for, you know, if your group just wants your own space to work on something, all you really have to do is type in a different title up here in the address bar after the /p, and you could put like, you know, OER Barn Group 1 or something like that, and that would automatically create your own etherpad page. So what Jade is pointing us to is an existing etherpad page where folks have already been doing some of this work, and let's just take a look. I haven't looked at this in a while. So, okay, so it looks like you've pulled some ideas from our main etherpad page, and then this looks like the table of contents from the outline of OER article. So this would be a great place to start fleshing things out. And this, again, this just as sort of a, to link back the concept of releasing your copyright to what you do here today. One thing that one really effective way to work can be to just type the wiki code of what you're doing into an etherpad document, and you might have like 3 or 4 people working on that throughout the day, and then one person copies and pastes it to Wikipedia. So that's where it's important for us to know that everybody is fine with that happening. So the one remaining thing I want to be sure that we cover is some of our more specific goals for the day, just so that we kind of know what we're all moving towards, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the structure of how we're going to check in throughout the day. And I'm pretty confident that someone must have a question in their mind out there, because I feel like I've been talking for quite a while here. So I'm just going to wait and let questions coalesce. How's everybody feeling? Is anybody feeling excited to get started, or confused, overwhelmed? I'm seeing 2 thumbs up in the back of the room here. I'm seeing a smile. And I think if you have an idea of an article that you might want to work on, it's never too early to start talking about that. So shout it out if you're in the room here, or put it in the chat. Okay. Just going to pause to let our online followers hear what I've said. Okay.
Maybe just if you're new to using the etherpad, you can collaborate. I don't know if Eugene or Rosa knows. You can collaborate in the doc and see what you're working on, and share your updates above.
Right. Oh yes, yes. Let me point out the updates section. So, excuse me.
We have a couple comments.
So I'm seeing online guys like me. Can you put me in a group maybe? So yes, we'll be forming groups a little bit more formally in a few minutes here as we approach the end of the hour. So glad to see you guys following on online. So I wanted to come back up to the top of the etherpad because I did skip past a couple of things. As you see, it's a bit more structured up here at the top. So the top section hopefully has any links that you might need if you feel like you're lost and you don't remember how to get to our event page or the video feed or something like that. You can always look at the top, or you can look at there's also this watch this space section below. So if we have any announcements throughout the date, we will be putting them in big bold letters in this section. And at the bottom of this section, this is for you to, as you're working on articles, under the State of the Barn check-in. So we're going to have 2 times during the day where we're going to come back to video, and I'm going to facilitate people sharing what they've been working on Wikipedia, so that the different groups can see what each other have been doing. So to help me do that, please report on what you've been working on here. So if you work on an article and you get a couple of references added to it, or you manage to improve the language so it's a little clearer to a new reader or something like that, just leave a little note here, and that way I'll be sure to point that out to other folks when we do our next check-in. I think that's really all you need to know about the etherpad. I think it hopefully is an easy tool for you to get started with. This is a tool that works best if people are just bold and active, and if you have ideas, get in there and start typing them in and watch what other people are putting in. You will see that when people type in, that it's color coded to reflect who's added it, so it makes it pretty easy to see what people are adding and working on. You can also click in the upper right corner of the screen. You'll see a little person icon, and that will tell you the name of the person by the color. And you should type in your own name if you haven't already. I see we have a few people here that are unnamed. So if you see a blank spot next to your name, type your name in there so other people know who you are. So I'm seeing some more activity in the chat. That's great. I'm sorry?
Just more people are joining.
More people joining in? Okay, excellent. Good to see some more faces. So I think before we break for lunch, so here in Oakland, we're gonna have lunch and we're gonna talk over some ideas, and I'm gonna make sure that at least 1 or 2 of us are keeping an eye on the etherpad, so we'll try to share what people are talking about as we're eating. So let's take the next 45 minutes or so to figure out what articles people want to work on, and then at the end of that lunch, I'll come back and recap what those groups are to start out with. So if you're not, if we're getting towards, what's the time that we have for announcing the groups, Dana? Is that just looking in the document here?
We can announce the groups
So
after lunch around 12:45.
yes, right. So 12:45. Oh, and we don't have a video feed set up for 12:45, do we? Okay. So this is a small oversight. I'm going to set up an additional video feed for 12:45 so that we can have a brief, just a recap of who's in what group. Because I think we might end up having some people that don't have a specific idea of what group they're in, and let's just make sure that we really have that nailed down. So that'll be a very brief check-in. The check-ins that we have scheduled are all intended to be pretty quick. We don't want to really interrupt your work too much. We just want to make sure that people are kind of seeing what each other are doing. But they are a good opportunity for you to, if you want to work on something different, find other people to work with. The check-ins will be a good resource for figuring out where to go. So my voice is really wearing out. I've been getting over a bit of a cough here, and so I know we're just a quarter of, but I'm feeling like I really need to take a break. So I think let's just revert to etherpad mode here, and so if you've been just listening to me and not now might be a good time to read some of the ideas and towards the bottom of the article of things to work on. So why don't you feel free to add your name next to something if it looks interesting to you. Just put it right in the list, and that way we can start to see where people are developing interest, and that can move us towards forming groups, and then we'll have that to wrap up when we reconvene at 12:45. And that video link we will put in the it'll be both on the etherpad, and we'll put it on the event page on Wikipedia. So you should see that well before 12:45 and be able to rejoin us then. Anything else before I stop? Okay, well, we will see you all in about an hour. And we will see you on the etherpad in the meantime.